So, hi everyone. I'm sorry about that. I think I had some technical issues and hopefully it would work now. So, you can send your questions if you want to know more about me. So, it's all about you guys asking me questions today, and then I'll answer as much as I can. So, like you all already know, we are 162 today subscribers, and it's like a family. And I surely know some of you, and some of you I do not know. And I thought 62 is quite a number, and I would like you all to know me better. But I'll just tell you all quickly. I am Gambian, full time Gambian, born and raised. And then I have five siblings, two girls, we are, and then three boys, and we're all very close. And I lived in the Gambia till I was 18. That's when I moved from the Gambia to Cuba to study physiotherapy. And that took me like 6 years, 1 year of language, that's Spanish, and then 5 years of a degree course in Cuba. So it was quite interesting because I got to learn so many things and meeting so many people from different parts of the world and all that. So, hi there, welcome. It's okay. Yeah, so I had a quite interesting life. My mother officially didn't go to school, but she made sure that all her kids went to school. And I remembered growing up, when I get dressed to go to school, she would check what I have under my uniform and the skirt and everything like that. And when she would give me a paracetamol to make sure when I have headache or tummy ache or something, to take it in order to stay in school and all that. And I wasn't allowed to watch TV during the week. We were only allowed to watch TV on weekends. And these are things that actually most Gambian mothers do not do. But it was like a norm in my house that weekdays it was studying, doing your assignments, and all that. So um, that actually gave us a different perspective of life. Hey, ihr hört mich sehr gut. Danke vielmals für das Feedback. Das freut mich sehr. And then eventually I finished high school and all that. But during my school period in the Gambia, I got involved in so many extracurricular activities with the Red Cross, with the peer health educators, with the lend a hand society. That's why I also did like public speaking training and all that. So I was into so many youth activities. I learned a lot how to relate with people, how to get information going, and how to health wise as well, how all the different things that were going on then, like HIV cases and how to get sexual transmitted infections, how to protect yourself, and all those things. And I remembered at some point, I used to even walk with condoms in my bag, and no one does that in in the Gambia. And some of my friends used to ask me, "Why would you walk with a condom and everything?" And at that moment, I just used to. And one time, my answer was, "You know what? I'm just gonna walk with my condom just in case somebody wants to read me. I will be like, okay, you can go on, but this is a condom because I don't want to be infected or anything like that." But people, it's just me and my craziness. But yeah, I think extracurricular activities actually helped me actually develop myself as a student, as an individual, and I was super happy that I actually participated in all those things. Then eventually, when I finished high school and then I got a scholarship to go to Cuba to study physiotherapy, I didn't want to go at the beginning. I was like, no, I couldn't just imagine leaving my family behind. My mother, my father, especially, we were very, very close. And then thinking, oh, I'm going to be away for so long. I could not just imagine that. But I had to accept those terms, as in, we spoke about it, and he's like, if you want to grow, if you want to develop yourself, you have to leave. And I think this is a good opportunity for you, and you deserve it as well, and all that. So, and I spoke to few other people that I knew that were mentors to me, and they said the same thing. I'm like, okay, good. That's how I left for Cuba. Arrived in Cuba, a friend of ours passed away. May he so rest in peace. He used to say, like when they told him he got a scholarship to go to Cuba, he was super, super, super excited. And then he was like, oh, I was thinking, is that around the US, very close to Miami. So he was imagining the USA, and then when we got to Cuba, it was in summer. It was super warm. The humidity was so high, it was just crazy. And then um it we were all like, oh, okay, this is warmer than the Gambia, it is hotter than the Gambia and all that. And then language barrier and shock came. In Cubans barely speak English. If they do, it's like you struggle to understand it and all that. So that was actually a super huge challenge. The cultural shocks, like the very moment we stepped out of the airplane and then got into the customs, everybody was in short skirts, like so short that we thought, these are official people on official duties and all that. How can they wear short skirts like that? Well, I we had to deal with it because when we got into the bus and then we um drove through Havana, and we saw like people, like everybody was in either a short or a short skirt and all that, and we looked at one another. Okay, okay, it's another culture, different country and all that, so it's okay, it's not a big deal. And then we went to we were taken to the hostel, and yeah, it was an open space. It was okay. We were, I think, probably six people in the room, so that was fine. We had dinner, and then the next morning we got up, we had hot milk and bread, roll, I wanted to say. So people, you have to excuse me, sometimes the German words come out. Then we had that, and then I remember the tea or hot milk, that it was so sweet we couldn't actually drink it. Then lunch came, and then lunch was frijoles and arroz, that was rice and black beans, and some salad on the side, and then dessert. It was like porridge or so, and that was also very, very sweet. So we were excited. We enjoyed the frijoles, that's the beans and the rice, the black beans, and it was exciting to try it. For an African, especially a Gambian, we love sauces, we love spices and all that. So for us at that moment, it was quite, I would say, boring, but still interesting because we never had it before, we never tried it before, so it was interesting to have it. And then dinner came, it was the same thing. And then okay, we still ate it. Then the next morning it was the same thing. The afternoon for lunch was the same, the evening was the same. After 2 3 days in a row of having the same thing, then that's when the reality hits us, as in, hey, that is the food here, you know. And I know, like, from home, especially in our house, we have like a menu. On Monday we have a different thing, a different sauce, and Tuesday, Wednesday till Sunday. And eating the same thing the same day for me was new and not so spicy as well. Not having different sauces was all different for me. So I was bit sad that I couldn't have the food that I am used to and all that. And I'm very open and very uncomplicated. But just the fact that you're having the same thing, especially food. I love food. I love good food, and having the same thing every time, I think, was just getting all of us at some point. But eventually, we stayed for like 2, 3 weeks, I think, waiting for other students to come down from the Caribbean, from South America, from other African countries. We met some Ghanaians and super wonderful people. And then we moved from Havana to Cienfuegos. And then in Cienfuegos, when we got there, the city was so clean compared to Havana. It was so beautiful. We were like excited and all that. And we were like, oh, finally, somewhere you feel you could breathe. Evil. We got to the school campus. We took our suitcases out and all that. We went upstairs. And then when this lady opened the door, we had, it was just like an open space, an albergue. Like there was, we had only beds. We had met some Jamaican girls and some Latin girls from Nicaragua and Guatemala also. So, and also a Colombian girl. And then we looked at one another and we were like, is this it? And everybody that I could remember at this point started bawling, crying. My friend, we from the Gambia, she said to me, Mariama, I'm like, yes, girl. And we started crying and we just laid back on the bed and then just bawled it out. And after a few hours, this friend of mine, she's from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Hi, girl. She came to me. She's like, "Hi, how are you? I'm fine," and things like that. And she's like, "Maybe we could go out for a walk and something." I'm like, "Yeah, of course we should." Then we left, and then we went to the Malecon. Malecon was not very far from the school campus. It was just right behind it. And we went down to the Malecon. We saw like these super old cars, but very, cool. And then the sea was right there, and they had restaurants and food stands and everywhere. And it was on a weekend, so they had like music everywhere. And around 7 p.m., 8 p.m., people started coming down, and the live started. And we had like a very good conversation together, and as in getting to know one another as students and girls and all that. Then we saw all that movement happening, and we thought, that maybe this we should give it a chance. Maybe this would be a nice place to spend the next few years at and all that. And people, I must be honest, we fell in love with Cienfuegos. It's a city that I would always recommend to anyone that ever goes to Cienfuegos. And then we just stayed there. We just observed what was going on around us, and then we went back to school. Then things officially started for us, and then school started learning the language. And then learning Spanish was quite easy. If I compare it to German, I have to be honest. Um, German is very, very hard to learn, and Spanish was quite easy to learn. And I think there were so many aspects for me. I was young, and Cubans are very open people. Like, we didn't have to go to them to ask if we could talk to them or anything like that. They would come to you as in, "Hey, where are you from?" and all that. And yeah, you tell them where you're from, and the conversation starts. Or they know someone who is on a mission in your country or in a neighboring country, and they would tell you their experiences and all that, and eventually even invite you to their homes, which for us it's not like a new thing because as Gambians, we're very, very open, meeting new people, inviting new people over, going over to their place and all that. So it was quite normal for us to kind of like experience that, which was great as well. And then l- then they would start speaking eventually Spanish, and then we started practicing our Spanish with them and all that. So that was one of the factors that made the language quite easy to learn for us. That went on like the whole summer, and then 1 year later we started with our degree program. Of course, everything was in Spanish, and that was a good experience. Creating study groups and then having early practical sessions with patients and all that, which made the clinical part super, super interesting. Hi, that's Ronel. We were in the same room, the same class, physio. So, hi, Ronel, welcome. Uh, then, you know, being in a room with 40 girls. So, Ronel, I am hoping to hear from you what your experience was like. I think for me as an African, we would 20, I would say 10 or 15 of us would live in a house and all that. But living with 40 people in a room in an albergue was like another level of having to deal with different personalities, different backgrounds, different religions, and all that. So I had to. I'm a very observant person, and I had to observe every single person and who they were, what were their likes and dislikes and all that. And I started dealing with everybody differently and then accepting everyone the way they are. And of course, there are people that you can never connect with. That's just life. That also happened. But mostly we had to learn to be tolerant, to be respectful, to you know, be who we are, be ourselves basically. Because you we had girls that were super loud. They would wake up in the morning and then have on a music super, super loud while the others are sleeping. And you have girls that are just very easy, quiet in their little, corners with their cortinas. So we were all different. I was the one who was everywhere with everyone. And if we didn't connect, then I just let you be, you know. But I know I have friends that are super good Christians, and they would go to church and all that. And then when they have choir concerts, I would go and support them and all that. And it's quite important for me to be there for them and spend this time with them. And then I had my other group of friends that are mostly Latins that love to party and all that. And I remember I would go out with my Caribbean friends for dinner, and then we go for an ice cream, sit at the park, talk about something important and all that. And I get back to the school campus around 10:30, 11 or so, and I'll just get dressed in my jeans and then go out with the Latin girls to party, dance salsa, whatever it was, and then come back to school. And for me, it was just important to just basically learn from both sides. And then this tolerance was just great. I would not change it for anything where else or for anything else. And I was happy and grateful, and I still am that I had the opportunity to actually meet these wonderful girls and women now that are doing great things in their lives, in their countries, and that we are still in contact. that I am very grateful for. So my friend Renelle from St. Vincent and the Grenadines just said the trick was having a healthy lifestyle outside of the room, which we did. And it was cool, Ronelle, having you by my side the whole time, and you doing a great job as well. So when we finished, then we left, translated all the documents to English, and then we left for our different countries. That was, I think, the saddest moment for me. And they all the girls practically became family. We all became sisters and all that. And going home, I had to start from scratch to make friends, because we used to go every 2 years for holidays to the Gambia. And most of our friends were either married or they were outside the country and all that. So it was quite difficult to kind of like make friends. And then when we come back to Cuba, you don't communicate with them because internet was not available, and it was illegal because we used to go to a lady's house to get emails sent or go through Facebook quickly and all that. And that was quite expensive, but and yet illegal. And we used to do it, students always find their ways to do things. And so when we come back from home to Cuba, you basically cannot communicate with your friends like the way you would want to. And so your friends and family are the ones that are there. And that was a good one. I was very happy that I had them. So, and we were sad. We cried for days and days and days. But knowing that they are still there, knowing that I can just pick up the phone and call any of them, it's just fulfilling. It's just, you know, it's just good. So I am happy about that. Then eventually we went home. When we went home, like I said, we had to start from zero again, making friends and getting to know the whole thing, readapting and all that. I think one time I made a video on readapting back my culture and all that. It was difficult because 6 years living alone and without your parents, without your family, in a different culture and all that. I think for me it was just a naive thought at the moment, thinking, hey, it would be fine. I mean, I was born and raised in the Gambia. Why would it be difficult to actually um, reintegrate or fit back in and all that? But that wasn't the case. It was not easy to actually get into the whole cultural thing again, because I remember the very first week, when I got there, everybody was excited. I was super excited. I was happy because I thought, I have earned something. I have achieved something. I can do things now, and I'm ready to do things. I'm ready to make a difference in my life, in the life of my loved ones, my friends, my family, my country, and humanity in general. So we had some time off, which was amazing, with the family, ourselves, and all that. And then when we started walking, then it was good. But then I remembered the first week when I wanted to go out with a Cuban friend. I had to ask for permission from my parents, and this is something I have not done for 6 years, people. And for us in my house, before you leave, you have to ask for permission first, and then when you get the permission, you actually have to do it weeks before, or at least a week before. You cannot just come a day or two before an activity or something and then ask my father, I would like to go there, you know tomorrow. It's like, are you crazy? It's a no-go. But yeah, it actually was like that, and I had to tell them that I was going out. And then the questions were, where are you going to? Who are you meeting? When are you coming back? And honestly, I answered because it's just expected of me. I did answer. I went out. The second time I wanted to go out, the same questions came, and I was like, okay, I need to address this issue. I need to talk with my parents about it. We sat down and we talked about it. I'm like, you all have to trust me now. If you do not trust me now, I don't think anyone else will trust me. I've been away for 6 years, lived alone, and made decisions for myself. Certain decisions were not right, and I learned from them. Most of the decisions were good. I'm happy about that. But I'm just going out. I honestly am not meeting anyone. I have no idea exactly where I am going to myself, and I don't know when I'm coming back, but I'll be back. But these are things that are actually you cannot even do at home and all that. So I had to reintegrate again in my own culture. And I also remembered when we had an activity, a wedding activity in my family, and everybody took an ashobi. And ashobi is like a traditional thing that we do where everybody wears the same kind of like material and for an event. And I thought to myself, why would I actually buy an ashobi? First and foremost, I can afford it, yeah, but the problem is we would go to at least in a week, at least 2 to 3, either a naming ceremony or a wedding and all that. And I'm thinking, if, I did the math and all that. So people would say, oh, you don't like to spend money and all that. It's not that. But I just have to do the math. And I'm like, the salary that I'm getting, it's not as good as it should be, and things are expensive. And if I have to buy the ashobi, to buy two ashobis in a week, every other week, and then get it tailored, and then transport myself over to that place and give the person a present, can I really afford that? So for me, the reality was no, cannot. And so I'm not going to even start it. And I was like thinking, I'm weird. Why would I not want to do that? It's our culture, it's our tradition. It's just, I just want to be complicated. But for me, it was not that. It was just basically, you know, being realistic and all that. And so that's also not our culture. Our culture is just to give in and then just go along with the flow, which I do. But sometimes I think if it's not right for me, I still don't do it. And people don't think it's right that I do that. But anyways, these were some of the challenges I had to reintegrate back into my own culture. But it was okay. It happened, and then everybody was okay with it because they got to know what I would do and what I would not do. Then life went on. I worked at the hospital. Things were different from what I know from Cuba. That the doctors would run after a patient and all that. In the Gambia, patients have to run behind the doctors, and yeah, so many things happened that I learned from, and I'm happy that I did learn from. And eventually, it was time for me to move on. But before then, I remembered in the Gambia we were only three physiotherapists with degrees. And there was the head of department, myself, and my friend that studied with me in Cuba. And then we had people that were trained on the job that were already there. And but when we went, we felt the workload was just too much for only the three of us plus the assistants that were working there. So we had this project that we started training physio assistants and technicians. And the technicians, I think their program was about 2 years or so, and then um the technicians, yeah, and the assistants were about a year. And then when they graduated, we actually had enough, not enough, but we had people that could assist us to get things done and treat patients and all that. And eventually we started a degree program in collaboration with a Spanish university in Barcelona, where lecturers actually go to the Gambia from Barcelona, teach for a week or two, and then do certain things online and all that. So we actually did a lot when it came to physiotherapy development in the Gambia. My friend and I, and the head of department, training young people to be physiotherapists, but also giving the population, the patients, enough physios that could actually treat them. And then after that, I decided I have to get myself also developed a bit more. Then I applied for my master's at different universities, got acceptance, but I ended up in Switzerland at the ZHAW. And that was quite interesting because I had to learn German. And I thought at some point after learning Spanish, I don't want to learn another language. I am okay with what I already know. But other personal reasons came into play. My boyfriend was here, and I wasn't 20 anymore. I wanted a relationship um, where I would actually, you know, build something from and all that. Then came, had to learn German. German was super, super hard. I had so many sad nights crying myself to sleep, thinking I can never learn German. It is super hard. But I think I was under pressure as well because I came in February, and then in September I was supposed to start my lectures in German, and it was biostatistics, biostatistical people. That was crazy. It was mad. But so, and this German school I went to, they are really, really good grammatically and all that, and you're not allowed to speak any language except German um on the campus. So it actually helped. So, and every Friday we would have a test in a module. The module used to was 10 weeks, and in a module every week you would have like a test. When you fail three tests in 10 weeks, you have to redo the whole module. And I didn't have time for that. So I was under pressure the whole time from February to August. When I got that and I got all the levels and I to what I actually needed to start the university, I was super, super happy. So I didn't get actually the right level. I was just below that level. And then I remember talking to the head of the physio department, and we met, and she actually, to evaluate my level of German people, you cannot imagine how nervous I was. It was over coffee. We talked about different things. So it was just not like an official interview or anything that we had done like a year before that and all. So I was super nervous, but I pulled it through. I talked. It was 2 hours. And then after the conversation, she was like, I think you can start. Of course, you have to continue to get to the level that you need, but I think this you can start with that. I was relieved. I was super happy. I was grateful. And then September came, uni started, and the with biostatistic and all people, it was another language. It was not even German. You have to trust me on that. I had to practically memorize a whole biostatistic book because um, the words were not just German; they were very technical and all that. And I remember there was in September. In November, we had our first semester exams just before closing, and they had said, "Oh, when you receive an email, you have not passed. If you do not receive an email, you've passed." I was checking my email like every minute for like a whole week or two, and I didn't get an email. That was supposed to be good news, but I needed to hear someone tell me, "Yes, you have passed." Then I decided, okay, you know what? Now I'm gonna send the lecturer an email. I did that, and then I just practically had my computer, and I was waiting for the reply. At some point, I saw an email coming. I opened the email, and it was like, "You have passed." My husband You need to scream it off, Mariam. You need to scream it off. You cannot just keep that. We went downstairs in the parking lot and I screamed like crazy. I think I've never done that before, but it was super cool to do that. And that's when I actually felt I can do that. If I can do biostatistics in German, I can do anything else in German. And that's what happened. I did everything. But interesting part, in the clinical part, I know clinical reasoning and all that in medicine or in physiotherapy um, was they had it very structured at the university. And I remembered got back some of my clinical reasonings after passing them in and all that. And a specific one that I remember, it was about neck pain. And neck pain in German is just not neck. Behind is actually the neck, and in front is Hals. In English, we do not have that differentiation. And for me, it was just the neck. So of course, my clinical reasoning was not right anymore because I kept talking about the house, thinking, I'm talking about the neck. And I got it back. And I think this lecturer actually knew exactly I meant the neck, but because I wrote house, I got back my clinical reasoning. I was so furious, people. I was sad. I cried and everything like that. And at that point, I thought, is she racist? What is the problem? Well, and I'm not very sensitive to color and everything, things like that. I am not. But at that moment, everything came through my head, as in, what could it be? But then again, I was very happy that she did that because these little differences, if they were not corrected at the very beginning, I would have still been making those mistakes now. So I was happy that it happened. But at the moment, it was not funny at all. But yeah. So that happened. I went through the German, I went through my master's, I graduated, I was super happy. And then I started work as a physiotherapy in Switzerland. And when I started actually looking for jobs, I thought it would be hard because people would tell you, oh no, if you're not Swiss, it's hard to get jobs, especially good jobs. And I remember someone had told me sometime, maybe you can check in at some restaurants, McDonald's and things like that. I thought to myself, people, I have spent my entire life at school, at universities, on desk studying. And at this point, I am not doing any of that. And, if you're doing that job, I am not disrespecting it. I value every job. Every job has dignity. But I felt at that moment I wanted to do what I studied and what I love doing. And, and I was going to just do anything to get that happen. So my very first job, I had my CV sent and they called in for the interview. I went for the interview. I got the job. So I felt, okay, that was not so hard as people say it is. And, but I also think my um, boss was super open and to actually say, hey, I think Mariama, we're gonna take you because they had never worked with an African before or someone who had a different degree from somewhere else and all that. And some people would say it's gambling or because they don't know what they were going to get, but they still did, which I was happy that they did because I knew that I'm very good at what I do at my job and I deliver very well as well. So I do not have any, reservations when it comes to that. If you employ me, you have the best. If you do not, you miss the best people. But yeah, that was a good experience for me. It was a smaller clinic. It gave me time to learn, to spend time with my boss. And when I was ready to move after 2 years or so, I knew I could go to the next level. And then the next level was a bigger clinic. It was like chain of clinics and meeting more physios, and then the whole setting is different, was another challenge for me, which I also conquered. And eventually I moved to my recent place of work now. It's a hospital, a teaching hospital. Is a super amazing place with super amazing team. You all have seen my team. And that's just my life journey at the moment. Oh, what I actually did with my friend, we started the first physical therapy and rehabilitation clinic in the Gambia. And I think, if I am right, it's the first in West Africa. It's not a big rehabilitation center, it's quite small. We do inpatients and outpatient therapy. The inpatients are admitted for intensive rehabilitation, especially the neurology cases after strokes and all that. They have like three treatments a day, one psychotherapy a week, and they have the breakfast, lunch, dinner at the clinic, and all the food is actually balanced diet with low fat, l- probably no salt or little salt and stuff like that. So this is another project that I am actually working on in the Gambia. And then the whole idea of having this rehabilitation clinic is to give Gambians access to like evidence-based physiotherapy, quality physiotherapy. And I tell every Gambian that I meet, when you come to Penmar Physiotherapy and Rehabilitation Clinic, you get the quality treatment that you would get when you are in Switzerland. Because if you meet me, I will do the same treatment like I would do to my patients in Switzerland. So we are not big, but we're trying to make a difference in our own little way, creating employment for garment physios, creating that environment where patients know when they are at the clinic, they would have the proper and the right treatments that they need. So if you have questions, you can ask your questions and I will gladly answer them. If you do not, I think I'm going to stop here and then I'll talk to you all some other time. It was nice having you all. Thank you, Ronel, for coming in, and Alto, Sisuho, and then the Mikaela. So it was good having you all. If anyone else is there, just say hello and I'll send you a shout out. So, everyone, I'm ending the chat now. Have a good evening.